Greetings, one and all, and welcome to Plague Inc. Evolved with me, Lathrix, and this little, hopefully short, tutorial/guide about the more basic points of the game. Recently, there has been a surge of popularity with Plague Inc. thanks to very large YouTubers taking back up the cause of infecting the world. And I see many people, sometimes including these YouTubers, getting some of the more basic elements of the game wrong. It's certainly not their fault. The tutorial in this game is, well, the official tutorial isn't in existence yet, and the helpful pop-ups aren't always too helpful. So what we're going to be doing is going into a regular game, and I will discuss some of the aspects of the game. I will be leaving things out about certain tactics, etc., because there's no point in really just discussing that. I'm just going to go over a brief overview about how to play the game and what some different things do, particularly with certain elements such as severity, where people either misunderstand or don't quite understand how it works, because again, the pop-ups aren't really that helpful. It's certainly no one's fault. Main game, and we'll just be getting into bacteria. And we'll be just discussing genetic code for a second. So I could clear all these, and actually I think I will, but for a second I'll just discuss them. The genetic code, you can get these for free, of course. The game is, once you buy it, it's completely free. Some people don't know that because the mobile version is a free game which you pay for different parts of. The computer game Plague Inc. Evolved is completely free once you purchase it. So you purchase it for a price on Steam, you get everything. So how do you get them then? Well, the genes you get by simply winning. You can win on any mode, on any disease, and you will get the generic genes. These help you in the game in a variety of ways. My personal favourite there. So there are some exceptions to this, and that's when there is a unique element to a disease type, such as this one down here. These can only be unlocked by winning in the necrovirus. The necrovirus. You can only get the necrovirus genes by winning in the necrovirus. So just play a few easy matches, and you'll happily get those. The casual matches, indeed. Same for, I can't remember, does a bioweapon? No, it doesn't. But the simian flu definitely does. In fact, it has does it have 2 or 3? It does have 3, yep, all 3 of these, I believe. No, just the 2, I'm very sorry, I do apologise. Only the 2 have unique elements to it, so you can get all those. So let's just get into bacteria. With nothing, and we'll go on normal, and we'll call it guide. Come on, guide, let's infect the world. So here we are in the world, and one of the biggest questions I always get asked is, why do you always seem to start in Saudi Arabia, India, or China? When there's so many places to choose from, of course you simply click a country and you can infect it. I do apologise, my stammer's fighting me today, and I will endeavour to not stammer. So I'll start in Saudi Arabia, as I explained. I'll go on at ×2 speed rather than ×3. Of course, that can be controlled with 1, 2, 3 on your keyboard and can be rebound. The reason why I start in Saudi Arabia is because it has one of the best plane routes. The planes from Saudi Arabia go pretty much to every continent and every little location in the world with a plane, with the ability to go to, I should say. It's also hot, which is the better of the hot and cold, in my opinion. This is very subjective, and it is next to a lot of very densely populated areas and very poor areas, both which are not a bad thing in this game. So how do planes work? Well, you can get on planes. Once a country is fully infected, other than with the fungus, you will automatically get on any outbound plane or boat. So if you want to get somewhere, fully infect the country, everyone's happy. But on the way up to being fully infected, when you're definitely not being seen, your chances are much slimmer, and obviously the more you infect of the country, the higher the chances. If you were to get air, level 1, which I always do in Saudi Arabia, it increases your plane transmission, which means you get on planes a hell of a lot earlier. In fact, I tend to try and go for air level 2 when in Saudi Arabia. So let's move on to symptoms. Of course, symptoms are your bread and butter. This is how you kill people in bacteria, convert people in the Neurax worm, and turn people into the mindless horde of zombies in the necrovirus. Severity. Severity is something very important which most people don't understand. Most people think to avoid severity at all costs, and honestly, in normal and easy, you can win with 0 severity the whole game and then burst into diseased frenzy at the end. this will kill you and make you lose on Mega Brutal, possibly even Brutal, because people will find you too quick, and and the amount of DNA you have will be very, very restricted. In Mega Brutal, the more people you infect, the more expensive things are, so you need DNA, and that's where severity comes in. When you infect a new country, like we did at the start of the game, you get a red bubble, a red biohazard bubble. This is increased how much DNA you get from the red bubble by how much severity you have. So if I were to do this, there's a higher chance of me getting 2 DNA rather than 1 DNA. The maximum is 4 or 5, depending on the genes you have chosen. Although sometimes it can go over because the game can be a bit weird like that. So that's the general max. I'm going to go for skin lesions because it's quite severe and gives a load of infectivity. It's also one of the symptoms that was nerfed very early on in the game because everyone used it for everything because it was awesome. Now it's a bit less awesome, but still pretty awesome. There we go, there's a red biohazard bubble, and we got 3 DNA as opposed to 1. So the reason why people avoid severity is because it is true, it does make you get found faster. Not only does it make it found faster in combination with lethality, it also ramps up how fast people will try and cure you. If you look down here, you have cure bubbles. You can simply access this menu by clicking on this triple dot in the corner of a country. As you infect a country, as you look more fearsome to the world, countries will start to cure you faster, once you've been found, of course. And once they reach maximum, then they are pumping every last resource they have into the cure percentage. The more severity you have, the faster this gets pumped up, and the more likely you are to get found. So do be careful not to overdo it early on. That can also get you killed. We've just got on our first plane. Hurrah, so now we are in Germany. I will continue with a little bit more transmission and a little bit more severity, then we'll get on to resistances. So I'll just quickly fast forward ×3 again until I've got enough DNA. It can be a little bit quick sometimes, so if you want to slow it down, feel free to when you're playing it yourself. Okay, going to go with nausea and vomiting because I want the severity more than anything else right now. And I would say at the moment I think I've gone a bit too low on severity, honestly, but coughing, sneezing. Okay, so as you can see, this is why you choose Saudi Arabia. Look how many places it's got. It's absolutely brilliant for a non-wealthy country, and that's a big deal. When you start off in a country, now for resistances, you will get a natural resistance to the climate of that country. If you start in Russia, you'll have cold resistance, same with Iceland and Greenland. If you start off in Australia or India or Saudi Arabia, you get heat resistance, which is fantastic. Now, the reason why I prefer hot countries is because heat resistance is A, more expensive, and B, less useful, because less countries need the double resistance, whereas more countries need the double cold resistance. And again, it's cheaper. The reason is there's less cold countries in the game than hot countries. So if you already have the heat resistance, you don't have to pay the extra DNA. Hurrah for that. So I'll get cold level 1 already because I'm in Russia. And why is Russia so important? It's one of the main places you'll get boats from Russia all the way to Greenland, your arch enemy. If you've ever played something like, what do you call it? Well, I forgot the name of it, but some of the old play games, Madagascar is your enemy. Pandemic, that's it. How did I forget? I used to play that like a zealot. I did love Pandemic, and I love that this game is openly inspired by it. We'll get drug resistance and cold. Drug resistance increases your effectiveness in wealthy countries. It's advisable to not start off in wealthy countries because you do not naturally get a as I like to call it, wealth resistance. That's not a natural thing you'll get by starting in a wealthy country. So we have been found, as we saw earlier, but they don't really think of us as a high threat. At the moment, it's going to take almost just about 44 years to cure us. We just got a free mutation that can happen at random. Some diseases are more likely than others to do this, and you can increase the chances by increasing your transmissions. Things like birds, livestock, rodents, insect, and blood all increase your mutation chance. If you want to do that, then feel free to. It's not a bad idea. So right now I'm going to go into Water 1, Water 2. The reason is, once again, just like the planes, this is the boat equivalent. The chance of me infecting a boat before I've fully infected a country is now higher. To maximise this, we're going to go with Extreme Bioaerosol, which is the ultimate of water and air. We're going to just keep it like that now and just not go over the top and just wait until everywhere's infected. We have enough severity to get us DNA, and we haven't been too over the top. We could have been more aggressive, but I preferred to do it the safe option. As you can see, most places aren't shutting down anything yet. We have been incredibly unlucky in getting to Greenland, and that can just sometimes happen. There we go, finally. Every country is infected, and now we can go to my favourite symptom, because this is always a good one. Necrosis. It kills people, it's severe, it has lots of infectivity, and the biggest thing, decomposed bodies remain a vector of transmission. This does actually translate to something in the game. Sometimes the flavor text is purely for flavor text. This allows for the dead to still be infectious. Not as infectious as a living human with the disease, but certainly infectious, which means killing people no longer the biggest issue in the world. We could go down here for total organ failure. That is the biggest lethality increase in the game. However, I'm going to go with hemorrhagic shock and internal hemorrhaging. Internal hemorrhaging and skin lesions, if you get them both, there is a chance of a combo happening in-game, which will increase your lethality and severity. This is, what was it? I think it's profuse bleeding. We're also going to go with diarrhea and dysentery. Now, you may have noticed I only got drug resistance level 1. In brutal and mega brutal, you will need level 2. In normal and easy, generally level 1 will do. Level 2 resistances in the cold or heat, depending on where you started, are still a good option. However, let's just see how the infected are right now. We could get level 2 drug resistance. We don't need it, but it is slowing us down at the moment, but not terribly so. Yeah, let's get level 2 drug resistance. So this way it will speed it up. It's not needed, it's not a requirement, but as you can see, it's sped up our infectivity in both the US and in Canada significantly. The blue bubbles, thank you. I've actually had recently a lot of people on my videos commenting. Also, I hope that ringing in the background isn't getting on the mic, but sadly a church is going off currently. Hurrah. But yeah, a lot of people recently have decided that the blue bubbles are bad. You should not touch them and leave them. This is incorrect. If you leave them, it simply speeds up how fast you're cured. If you destroy them, with that lovely smashing sound, it doesn't slow down. I actually forgot, does it slow down the cure or does it stop the increase? It either stops the increase or slows down the cure. I can't quite remember which, because either way, you want to smash them. Random event, nothing over the top, but apparently somewhere in Central Europe a lot of people are about to die. I knew it was there and everything, but I just couldn't... And there you go, and Central Europe is pretty much down, so the world is pretty much lost. We could get some resistances to the cure now, because I want to. Genetic hardening slows down research speed, reshuffle... Basically, so how the cure works is there's an invisible set of points, essentially, like 100 or 200 points, to cure you, and every country can contribute points to this over time, depending on how much they're funding. There we go. How much they're funding. As you can see, as they die off, their funding ability gets less. Genetic hardening simply slows down how fast countries give the points, and genetic reshuffle makes it so there's more points needed to do it. So, obviously, the combination of both really does affect how fast you're cured. We didn't do overly well this time. There's a lot of setbacks, and I played it a little bit too safe, but you could have got a lot better than that. Of course, in normal, like I say, if you really want to stay completely under the radar, you can just avoid severity, but it's so boring in comparison, in my opinion, and you can't play around and find what works for you the best. The bacteria is the ultimate sandbox disease. It's not really set in any real path. It's got a decent chance of mutating, so if you want to go down the mutation route with all animals and such, you can. It isn't passive enough that you can't be aggressive, it's not aggressive enough that you can't be passive. Certain things like the virus lend to more aggressive play because of their forced mutation. And Guide to Eradicate Humans, excellent. And their slight resistance to the cure, again, which is all invisible and not really shown, but the virus actually takes more points to cure than the bacteria. You can find the stats like that in the scenario creator, which will open up as a separate thing if you want to make scenarios, which is what I do on my channel. So if you want to go and view that, I've got over 100 videos of various scenarios made by the community. So that's all there is really to say. I'm sure there's some things I've missed, and if you want to ask me questions, which I didn't cover in the video, feel free to ask them in the comment section below. I read every comment, of course, and I hope I've helped some people. This probably won't be as viewed as a lot of my videos, because who likes tutorials, but I hope it's been helpful to someone. Thank you so much. Oh, last thing I should cover, is how you unlock the different diseases, because naturally you don't get everything at the start. You simply unlock them by winning the previous. I think it's in any difficulty, but it may be in normal. It's been a long time for me. But you can unlock them all by simply winning the previous. And if you are stuck on any particular one, again, feel free to ask me about it in the comments below. I may make more specific tutorials in the future if Plague Inc. continues to rise back into popularity. I really do hope it does. I picked it up before it was on Plague Inc. Evolved and adored it. It's one of my all-time favourite games, but I'm one of those people who likes slow-paced strategy with an evil twist. Perhaps it's because I've got a degree in pathology, which is the study of disease-causing organisms. So, thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day. Please do take care. And like I say, likes, favourite, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that Plague Inc. is a series you wish to see continued and tutorials are something you're interested in. Thank you, and goodbye.